So it is more than 2 weeks now since Hurricane Maria hit the island of Puerto Rico. Its government is pleading for federal assistance. The U.S. territory's government has estimated the storm caused at least $90 billion in damage. All this is amid reports that the island is already in a huge amount of debt. We know that. And the White House walking back comments from the president saying it will all be wiped out. Joining me now on the phone is Governor Ricardo Rossello of Puerto Rico. Sir, thank you so much for joining us. I want to start with, first of all, how you guys are doing before we get to the situation of the debt. To ask how you're doing, I know there are a lot of people here in the U.S. who have, raised, whether it's money or getting supplies like diapers and things that you would need together, and they're having a hard time getting it to the island. Do you have any updates for them?
Yes. Well, thank you for the opportunity first, and of course, for your thoughts and prayers. Yes, we are starting to get a lot more shipments into Puerto Rico. We were limited by the air traffic control and, of course, the flow through the ports, which were somewhat disrupted during the storm. So anybody and everyone that wants to give to Puerto Rico, whether it's donations, they can go to unitedforpuertorico.com, or if they need some sort of logistical support to get any article of first need to Puerto Rico, they can call 202-800-3134.
Okay. Is there FedEx or mail or anything coming to the island if people are trying to use other ways of shipping things?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I'm right now in the FedEx terminal here, and things are flowing in. And the Pittsburgh Pirates came as an organization to bring water supplies. And we're receiving them right now. Okay. So it is working, so people can use those mechanisms.
Okay, that's great news. Moving on to the issue of the debt, because obviously that has been a huge news story around here, and there are a lot of people making the argument that there was a lot of the electrical and the energy infrastructure that wasn't working even before the storm, that it is, a bankrupt government that was deeply in debt, and, the infrastructure was in a vulnerable state already, that it's going to be hard to get people down there to do work and to sell you equipment when you haven't paid all the bills from the past. How do you respond to people who say those things?
Well, first of all, I've been in the administration for about 8 months, and we started on an aggressive fiscal plan to reducing the size of government. We had 131 agencies. Our aim is to reduce it to about 30 agencies. I slashed $1.4 billion of our budget. That represents anywhere from 17 to 20% of our budget in my first go-around. So we were taking steps so that we can mitigate the fiscal situation now. There is no doubt that there were some needs in the infrastructure as seen after the devastation, but we were already making ways with public-private partnerships, the commitment to get the private sector involved. And that's what we expect to happen right now.
Yeah.
We don't expect everything to be the federal government, but certainly the federal government needs to put their part, because even though before the storm we were doing everything, we were working, we were starting to get liquidity, after a storm like this, a devastating event like this, we need to get things back going. It's a game changer, and we're going to need all the support we can get.
You mentioned the idea of beginning to get liquidity again. When you hear the president say something about wiping out your debt, is that what you would want, given that it would be nearly impossible for you to ever borrow again if those debt holders were stiffed at this point? As empathetic as it would seem that you're in such a crisis and you need that forgiven, it would have huge implications for your future ability to borrow. How do you react to that? How does that make you feel?
Well, first of all, our short-term liquidity problems are even beyond any consideration of discussing payments to the debt, right? In regards to the statements made by the president, that's his opinion. We are already in Puerto Rico in what's called the Title III proceeding, a judicial proceeding, and of course, I really can't comment on it because we're in the middle of that proceeding. But part of that proceeding is to sit down and have conversations and negotiations with the bondholders, and as soon as possible, I'm sure those proceedings will continue.
Do you worry about your ability to borrow in the future, though, if you take too many handouts, if those debt holders aren't paid something?
Well, this is not an effort for a handout. I actually ran on a platform saying I didn't want a bailout. we were going to take matter into our own hands.
And you still feel that way?
I still feel that way.
Okay.
But however, similar to Florida and similar to Texas, the federal government needs to react equally to the needs of the people of Puerto Rico. We are proud U.S. citizens. There needs to be an equal response over here based on the devastation, and that's what we're expecting. And secondly,
you need electricity.
There needs to be and we, of course, we need electricity. We're working with a core of engineers to rebuild that, but we're also opening it up for the private sector to submit proposals so that we can establish P3 mechanisms to get newer and a better grid for the people of Puerto Rico. So those things are ongoing. I want to make sure that we understand that although we're having challenges, this is not a call for a bailout. It's called for the emergency capital that we need in Puerto Rico to rebuild, to get out of the emergency. And if we have that runway, I can assure you that we will rebuild stronger than ever.
Governor, our thoughts and prayers are with you. Everybody around here has a lot of family there, so we are certainly thinking of you and wishing you the best. Thanks for taking the time to come on today and give us all that good information. Thank you.